Hi, and welcome to the Adobe Illustrator in Under 10 tutorial series where we explain techniques in Adobe Illustrator in under 10 minutes. Because we go at a rapid pace, there may be times where you need to go back and just review the content, but trust me, everything will be explained clearly and you'll be able to get it. You just might need to go back and review some things because we're doing this faster than we would normally. Okay, so in this tutorial, what we're going to talk about are the brush tools. And we really have two brush tools in Adobe Illustrator. We have your blob brush and then we have your regular brush. Now, the blob brush wasn't present at all in previous versions of Adobe Illustrator. It wasn't until later on that they actually introduced it. And the blob brush essentially works like a regular brush. It gives you a fill. It's like painting. And you can adjust properties for the actual brush itself so that it's better suited for your needs. Now the best time to use this brush is if you have a pressure sensitive pen. You can use it with a mouse, but options will not be highlighted if you do not have a pressure sensitive pen and tablet. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go with the blob brush tool. And if you were to hit Shift and B on your keyboard, you're going to be able to get the blob brush tool. And this will come out in the shape of let's actually change the fill color so that it's a little more visible. And we'll zoom in. This will come out in a fill. It will not come out as a stroke. If we were to change it, we could actually change the object to a stroke. But if we were to, let's say we deselect this, and let's say we were to change this so we had just a stroke only, and we were to draw on the screen, it's still going to come out as a fill. It has to be used as a fill. Now, you look at it, it looks like the brush icon. The brush icon is actually two above it if you're in the single column format. If not, it's right above it in the double column format. And that's the paintbrush tool, which you just use B to get. So it's B and Shift B. But the reason we're talking about the blob brush is because it's become more popularized and the tool of choice for some people who used to use the brush tool. So if you were to double click on that icon, you'd open up the brush tool options. You don't want to get stuck with just limited options, so you want to be able to manipulate in some way. Now, in newer versions of Adobe Illustrator, they have changed the fidelity tool, and it previously used to have two options, but now they've minimized it to one so that it makes it easier for you to adjust for smoothness or accuracy. Accuracy just means more anchor points, as you can see here, and smoothness means less anchor points, more of a curve. So I don't really have to explain that. I can show you that it just incrementally slides. All right. Where it can go, there are marker points for each one. I do kind of wish that they allowed you to change this according to how you wanted it. I do like that in previous versions you could get way more accuracy before they made it into one slider, but that's neither here nor there. People have learned their workarounds for it, so it doesn't matter. But now that you know that's how you change the accuracy or the smoothness of the actual line, we're going to skip down to the bottom. You'll notice in the window, similar to other programs, you have your brush option, and then you have the appearance of what the brush would look like with its different variations. So we have size, angle, and roundness. Size is going to govern how large the brush is, angle, the angle or tilt that the brush is at, and you can change it in this window, or you can change it with a slider. You can squeeze or expand this, pinch or bulge it with the window, and it'll change the actual roundness. And then the size itself, you can see, gets governed in this window. Now this isn't an accurate depiction, but it just gives you an idea of the differences. Now there's a variation box at the end of each. I'm skipping over the middle section right now, but the variation box essentially lets you change variations for pressure, size, or like in this, it has it for tilt. It allows you to change the variation depending upon the amount of pressure that's applied. So a really, really large size brush would appear if you place heavy pressure, or a very small one. But the middle point is our 19. So we're going larger than 19 by 16 points or lower than 19 by 16 points. That's the variation difference. Okay, so you understand where that comes into play. And same thing for this. You would change it based on the actual degrees itself. You're not really going to see that here. But if you were drawing, you would notice that the tilt of your pen would change the angle based on the amount of degree of variation that you give it. So you can change how your pen responds depending upon the stroke of the angle that you're going and how you naturally hold your pen. For the roundness, right now it's fixed, but you can actually change that. And these options are under each one. You have fixed, random, which would randomize it, pressure sensitive, stylus wheel, if you had a stylus wheel, you could change it accordingly, the tilt of the pen, the bearing of the pen, and the rotation in which you're drawing or of your pen. So all of these things are options under each one, and they would be able to vary according to which one that you actually select. Now at the very top, we have keep selected so that once we, as you saw before, drew this brush stroke out, it kept it selected so we could then manipulate, erase, change things, and it doesn't automatically deselect it because we may want to interact with it more. Now, merge only with selection. If we were to highlight that, that means we can only merge paths if it's already selected and we start drawing again. So right now, we're going to go with keep selected. I can deselect it, do this, and it'll still merge, but if I wanted it to merge with selections only, and I were to bring that up, click OK, and go like this, it's going to give me its own separate shape. And that's how the Blob brush tool works. Now, the regular brush tool works quite differently. And this works off of strokes. So you would be able to take the brush tool, draw something out, and it's going to come out in the form of a stroke. Now, the reason it's doing this right now is because I have a pattern set on mine. So I'm actually going to change that just to get rid of that in the appearance panel. And I'm going to go to my brushes panel. I'm going to select this as my regular brush. Now, on your artboard, you'll notice that if you were to go to Window and you were to go down to Brushes, a window like this would pop up with various brushes that you can choose from. And these are the brushes that you can use to select how you want the appearance of the stroke to be. So right now I'm going to go into this brush window. I'm going to select this particular brush and I am going to hit the B button on my keyboard and draw out. And now this is just a basic look. Now if I were to change it, I could select this brush, which is a charcoal brush, and I will get a charcoal stroke for my brush. Now, if you wanted to, one of the other things you could do is you could right click on the options in the upper right hand corner. You could go to Open Brush Library, and there are various brushes that you can utilize. Let's say we go to Bristle Brush Library, and we can click this, and if we draw this out, we're going to get a bristle brush. There we go. And you see the difference between them. And these can be manipulated. Right now they're a stroke, which means you can edit their original anchor points. Think of it like a live effect. And then what you can do is you can go to Object and expand Appearance. And now you can edit all of the points in between. And those are the differences between the two brush tools. So take your time, get familiar with it. There are a little more details. Maybe I'll create another piece that discusses these a little more in depth. But as of now, you can understand how you manipulate these. And just a real quick review, I want to show you that if you double click just like you did on your Blob brush, you can get the same thing with the accuracy and the smoothness for this actual tool. The options underneath are to fill new brush strokes, keep selected, or just edit the selected paths. And that works in the same manner that the Blob brush tool did. So just take note of that. Make sure you practice and fool around with it a little bit, and you'll slowly gain an understanding of how the tools work. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can find me on all social media at The One Will Focus or on my website, www.theonewillfocus.com. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care.